huge book of names that we go through. Now we try to line up a name that kind of accentuates the dog, so Joy is an easy one. But we have other dogs that have really weird names, just because we don't have the names available all the time. Now the victory dogs, like Merrill, and Merrill's back there, Merrill and Kate, Curly and Maya, and the names of our vans, like this van is named Georgia, they're all retired names. None of the names that we use for the 22 victory dogs will ever be used again. Do you guys have any questions about the facility or any of the buildings that you've seen? I think we got really good tours today. Once in a while, we don't always get that one at Maggie's for the training session. That's kind of neat to see. And even though you say, oh, big deal, she's teaching the place, that's a big step for dogs like that, because they're usually just so wild that we can't, even think about finding them homes. That gentleman right there is named Doug. He's one of the local volunteers. He's heading over to take care of the koi fish. That's the group he takes care of.
So you're retired and you volunteer here, or do you work?
No, I'm a paid employee. We have about 400 employees here. About 3/4 of them deal directly with animal welfare and care. People like myself and the people who work at the gift shop, at the cafeteria, at the lodging locations. We're like a support staff, and they give us a small salary to come here and help out and do the tours and all the other things. That's an entrance to Peekaboo Canyon, but we always tell people that want to use that, unless you have one of those four-wheel drive ATV things, it's hard to go back there with a regular four-wheel drive vehicle. It's really a rough road. It's supposed to be a beautiful view. I've never been back there myself, but friends who have taken those little ATV tours back there say it's really pretty, but it's a rough trail to drive on. And walking is really hard because it's got such heavy sand back there. But that's another one of the places that people like to go. I don't know if you guys know about this area. There's been lots of movies here over the years. It's called Little Hollywood is the nickname of this location. The original Lone Ranger series, both the TV show that I grew up watching, and also the original movie, not the one with Johnny Depp for all you young folks here, but the one back in 1956 that was filmed here. That took place on our grounds. And before we actually purchased the property, the most famous movie probably that was filmed here was Clint Eastwood's The Outlaw Josie Wales. And that was filmed right below where you guys have your cars parked. In fact, the two folks that are going on the tour with me on the walking tour, yeah, you guys, we're going to see where they had the village and stuff where The Outlaw Josie Wales was filmed.
Where does the walking tour go?
The hiking tour? There's only one of them that we do with you. The rest of them you could do on your own. It goes back beyond, it's called the Water Canyon. You end up going where there's a nice little stream and a waterfall. You need to be at least, pretty good at hiking to be able to take this tour, though, because there's a couple interesting little spots and there's a couple water areas we have to cross over. Last time I went, the one guy that was leading the tour, Byron, the guy you met earlier, he was showing me the tour because I had never done it before, and he ended up slipping and falling in the mud. This area right here is supposedly where Cortez from Mexico placed his gold there and hid it there. And people for years have been wanting to go down there and try to search and pull out the gold. The last group that did that, the two people that did it, one person was the diver and the other person was the contractor that set it up. The contractor suddenly, right afterwards, had a heart attack, and the other guy was killed in a car accident a few days later. So they say it's a curse. That's why nobody wants to go in that water area anymore. So these are all local folklore stories that you hear about. And I learned all of these from Byron, because Byron grew up here. I said earlier, his grandfather is the one who sold the property. Now these Moki caves here, I've never been in there, but I've had folks that have been in there and said they're very interesting. I know there's a fee to go in, I'm not sure what it is, but I think it's 3 different rooms, and you can see, and it used to be a ruin site, that's why it's fenced off here. The Anazi Native American tribe used to have lots of locations here, and this was one of their living areas here. That's one of the old Pueblo buildings right there that was built. And we'll see some of them when we take the tour today, some areas where they were left over. After the Anazazis left here, there was about a 50-year gap, and that's when the Navajos and Paiute Indians tribes came in and took over, and they've pretty much been here ever since. But nobody knows what happened to the Anasazi. They just disappeared. Now sometimes you'll see some cave holes here. Some of these cave holes are not natural caves. There was a group, because this area here we lease from the state of Utah, and they had some groups come in to do mineral drilling, and they were drilling for, I think, silicate, which is the same stuff they use for sandblasting, and they kind of left some of the areas quite unstable, so we suggest to people not to try to climb and go near any of those caves, just for their own safety. Okay, if you take a look to your left, you're going to see two big white holes in the caves. Then if you keep going to your right, you'll see it looks like two eyes and a nose. This is when they were looking to film the Lone Ranger series in the 1940s, and they were driving on this road. The producer saw this area and say, okay, this is where the filming is going to take place, because it looked like the Lone Ranger mask, which is now right behind this big pole, flagpole. And the last movie we had filmed here, it actually wasn't filmed here, it was filmed in town. Nicolas Cage filmed a movie earlier this year called Through the Looking Glass at the Aiken Lodge, which is one of our hotels in town. So that should be out sometime next year. And we've got lots of wildlife here, and it's really come to roost, I guess, recently. The deer now have moved down from the higher areas around us, and they've all come here on our property. Part of it is because I think bow season started hunting, and the deer pretty much know to come here because they won't get shot at. So we have a lot of deer here now, and the wild turkeys, well, they're everywhere. Yeah, if that's based on a tick, of course, and it was all, that name was started from a town in Connecticut where we actually named it after that town because it's a tick that deers carry. We have had no problems with ticks, mosquitoes, like a lot of things with heartworm. Most of the dogs that are from this area, none of them have heartworm unless they got it from where they came from, because it's carried by a mosquito. So you can't get it any other way. So a lot of our dogs don't get heartworm treatment here unless they come from different areas of the country that do, and then of course they're tested for it. If they're tested for it and they have it, we of course give them medication. If they don't test negative for it, we don't have to give them anything. Like I don't have to give my dogs anything anymore because we're from South Carolina, and of course there's mosquitoes everywhere there. So it ended up that it was no problem once I moved here, so I was able to discontinue the heartworm medication.
What about fleas?
Fleas are not that big of an issue here either. Now, do animals have fleas? Well, of course. Our major problem here is flies during the summertime. When we have our rainy season, which takes place usually in the summer months, so they call it the monsoon season because we get some big heavy rains. But normally, because we're in the desert environment, we don't get a lot of rain here. But when we do, the flies are everywhere. And our horses will wear masks because horses are so susceptible to getting eye infections. So they wear those horse masks that look like, they look like they're part of the witness protection program. But in reality, it's just that, they're wearing them to keep the flies out of their face. But they can see through them just like you or I would look through a screen door or a screen window. So that's the major problem we have here is the flies.
What about the areas that have the floods and the diseases that come because of that to affect the animals? And does that make them hard to release?
No, because all of our animals, before any of them are placed anywhere from this sanctuary especially, they're all medically cleared. We would never ever give an animal out to anyone, regardless of what, it could be a horse or a cat or a dog or anything, if it was not medically cleared. And that's one of the things that we always do before any of our animals get adopted. Even if they've just been to the vet recently, they go again. They go to the vet again. The reason they go again is because we want to make sure they're okay. We don't let any animal ever go out unless they've been medically cleared. And we test them for pretty much everything, because you never know what these guys, especially when they come in from other locations, especially like the dogs that are coming in from Houston or from Florida.